Welcome back to Blacklogic, where we dissect the latest political developments with a sharp eye and a critical mind. Now, today we're diving deep into the political maelstrom that's been brewing in D.C. and beyond, from the Capitol to the campaign trail. The stakes have never been higher, so buckle up as we embark on this roller coaster of revelation, analysis, and of course, of some unfiltered opinions. So first and foremost, I think we should definitely go into Joe Biden. And we all know how this political figure is. Now, a year-long investigation into Biden's handling of classified material would not result in any charges. Special counsel Robert Hur concluded in his report that the evidence investigation uncovered falls short of proof beyond a reasonable doubt that Biden willfully retained and disclosed classified materials. Despite the legal win for the president, the report was politically damaging for Biden. It details shoddy handling of classified documents and specifically points out gaps in Biden's memory while discussing information during the interview with the special counsel, fueling an extensive political concern about his age and mental acuity. With the election results, attention now turns to Trump's cabinet appointments. Reports indicate that he is prioritizing loyalty in his picks, with several controversial figures expecting to take key positions. For instance, Scott Bessent is nominated for Treasury Secretary, highlighting the support for tariffs. Kelly Loeffler is expected to be Agriculture Secretary despite limiting experience. Pam Bondi is nominated for Attorney General following sexual misconduct allegations against Matt Gaetz. These appointments have sparked intense debate. Critics argue that prioritizing loyalty over experience could lead to ineffective governance, while supporters believe it will ensure a unified administration. And those cabinet picks that you guys may not be aware of is no other than the State of Secretary Marco Rubio. These are some of the most prominent figures that you guys may see. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth of Fox News, of course, Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy. For the Department of Government Efficiency, Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard, a former Democratic Congresswoman. Health and Human Service Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr., White House Chief of Staff Susie Wiles with Stephen Miller as deputy, and White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt. So these are some of the top cabinet picks that Donald Trump had pointed out, and believe me, ladies and gentlemen, these are very important. Turning into international affairs, the conflict between Ukraine and Russia continues to escalate. The U.S. has been a staunch supporter of Ukraine providing military and economic aid. However, with the change in administration, questions arise about the future of this support. Now, the recent G7 meeting in Italy focused on the wars in the Middle East and Ukraine, with foreign ministers attempting to advance diplomatic efforts before the news U.S. administration takes over. A key topic was brokering a ceasefire in Gaza and Lebanon. Following recent escalations, Israeli Ambassador Mike Herzog hinted a ceasefire with Hezbollah might be reached soon. Ministers from our Middle Eastern countries joined the G7 to call for an end to the Israeli strike in Gaza. Additionally, the arrest warrants issued by the International Crime Court for Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu and others added another layer of complexity to the discussions, with Italy seeking a united G7 stance. The conflict in Ukraine also remained a significant concern, especially in light of a recent Russian hypersonic missile strike and impending changes in U.S. policy under President-elect Donald Trump. The G7 aims to ensure continued support for Ukraine while addressing broader regional stability. Now, as we move in the Middle East, the Israeli-Hamas conflict has definitely intensified with significant implication for the U.S. foreign policy. President Biden has expressed support for Israel's right to defend itself, but the administration faces pressure to address the humanitarian crisis in Gaza. Now, the war in Gaza has convinced Russia it was right all along. People can argue endlessly about the reasons for the war in Ukraine or Israel's operations in Gaza, but for many, the conclusion is obvious. The United States was critical of Russia when it killed innocent civilians in Ukraine, and now it is silent when its ally Israel does the same thing in Gaza, a version of the world in which morals and ideologies are irrelevant. And the only thing that counts are state interests has long been the dominant one in the Crimea. Now, domestically, the political climate is charged. The recent election results have sparked widespread debate about the direction of the country. Public opinion is divided, with many expressing concern of the future of democracy and the rule of law. We understand that America constitutionally is a republic with some socialist ideologies because of the programs in which we have in America. Now, after Trump's win, Black women are rethinking their role as America's reliable political organizer. Despite strong support for Kamala Harris, who had been the first woman of Black and Asian descent to win the presidency, Trump won his second term with increased support from white voters and Hispanic and Black men. This outcome has led to disappointment and fatigue among Black women who traditionally drive voter turnout and organize social movements. Now, many are advocating for self-care and mental health, suggesting that others also step up. Drawing analogies to past struggles, these women emphasize that they have long been at the forefront of change, but cannot carry this burden alone without risking their well-being. The elections result in Trump's upcoming policy support ongoing racial and social justice issues, leading to calls for a collective reckoning rather than relying solely on Black women's effort. Now, when we speak about Matt Gaetz, we understand that Donald Trump has appointed him as the Attorney General. Now, with the withdrawal of Matt Gaetz as Trump's nominee for Attorney General, dramatically affirmed that the Senate still maintains its advice and consent powers when it comes to vetting and installing a president's cabinet. Yet it may be only a brief reprieve from the intense struggles to come as Senate Republicans try to preserve their constitutional role. Trump has been making his cabinet announcement as a rapid clip, often over social media, and frankly catching GOP senators off guard. Gaetz' selection on November 13th, in particular, left Republicans shocked and momentarily dumbfounded. His withdrawal just over a week later came just as suddenly, leaving many grasping for words. And as we can understand here, ladies and gentlemen, that Matt Gaetz, with the on-rising of sexual allegations, just as well as Pete Hegseth, will go through the Senate tribunal to see if they will be approved for their appointments. Now, to some interesting news that may or may not affect Elon Musk as well as Vivek Ramaswamy's appointments to the Department of Government Efficiency. It states, while Elon Musk puts on his deregulation hat, Tesla has been dumping chemicals in the Austin sewer. So that may affect if those allegations are true. But again, the verification is still out.